So, back in September, I did a video on a young Ecuadorian midfielder called Oscar Zambrano, a player that United had recently been linked with at the time, and a player I got a little bit of information about from a source to suggest that he was a player that United were definitely scouting and potentially would make a move for him in the January window, and then maybe loan him out or keep him there for a bit longer after they missed out on Moises Caicedo. They were fearful of missing out on this guy that was seen as the next Moises Caicedo. However, I was told Man United's transfer targets were likely to change around January, depending on how the season went. And when this news went quiet, I assumed that was the case. But recent news has come out to suggest that Manchester United are more than backing for Oscar Zambrano, and the Glazers have given the green light to do this signing because of how cheap the deal is. So we're going to talk about the news that's come out, where it's come out from the reliability of this news and what kind of player he is and what would he add to the United midfield. And then we're going to get into an update from David Ornstein about INEOS' plan, Dan Ashworth, and more. So do hit that like button, do subscribe down below if you're new, and let's get into it. So Manchester United and Brighton are showing sudden interest in LDU Quito midfielder Oscar Zambrano, who's 19, and people at Old Trafford dubbed him the next Moises Caicedo. I reported this and heard information on this back in September. It's now coming back around in January, which is interesting. I was also aware that Luton were looking at this guy as well, and if I'm going to be honest with you, goes to Luton or Brighton for 5 million, goes to Chelsea for 100 million in 3 years. You know what it's like. But it was said that Luton Town had already made an offer to sign the Ecuadorian midfielder, but LDU Quito have decided to stall due to sudden interest being shown from United and Brighton, who they believe they can get, obviously, a bit more money shown from. So what was sort of the info that's sort of come out and got people like, oh, is something happening here? It was said the Glazers and INEOS have given the okay for Manchester United to move for LDU Quito midfielder Oscar Zambrano. United do not want to miss out on him like they did with Moises Caicedo. So this was the interesting part of the story. This was the part of the story where everyone was like, oh, okay then, the Glazers have given the okay, the Glazers have given the green light. And to be honest, I know we can't do much in January, but 5 million, I'm pretty sure United can afford in January. And that is what they're suggesting. Now, I'm going to say something now. This source is very close to Ecuador, very close to the football side, LDU. It's very close. This is a very good source in terms of the South American football world. It's a good source of information. However, it will have good connections with the agent of Zambrano, have good connections with those at LDU Quito, which I've said the name wrong. I don't know how to pronounce the name of the club, but I apologize. So there's always the suggestion of, could this be agent talk? Could this be stuff leaked by the club to put out in the media to help Zambrano get that move? Sometimes this happens in South America where there's a really good young player that a club wants to cash in on, and there's Luton looking at them, but they really want someone like a United or Barcelona to come in because it's a talented player and they want to bring a bit more money for that player. And then they start sort of putting out in the media that Barcelona and United are looking at this player. So then all of a sudden, if Chelsea are reading that Barcelona and United looking at this player, Chelsea are like, oh, let's have a look at this player, and to try and convince Chelsea or someone to put in a bid. And I do think because this news is coming out massively from South America and South American sources, United's name could be sort of over exaggerated and being used to maybe draw out attention for the player. If you use United's name, it's going to get loads of attention on social media. It already is. So that is my sort of thing, because while I know that United are looking at him, and I know from a good source of information United are looking at him, and this information is only coming out from sort of Ecuador now. If we get Fabrizio Romano and Rob Dawson and David Ornstein and just United generally briefed journalists around the British media reporting on this in the coming days, then you know that United actually have some serious interest and that they have been briefed by Man United itself. But you've got to remember, a lot of the media that comes out from foreign outlets, and what I mean is like when we're linked to an Italian player, Italian media, when we're linked to a Portuguese player, Portuguese media, is often coming out, like when we were linked to Frankie de Jong, the amount of crap that came out from sport is often come out by that side of the club to help them get a deal and sort of, rake in the clicks and the views. So I always think with this Zambrano thing, while they're saying, 5.5 million, United don't want to miss out on him, United are going to move for him, they'd be given the okay. I wouldn't be surprised if this is what they're doing on purpose, his agent Ecuador, to sort of get a bit more attention to the player because they ultimately want to cash in on him now, who is available for 5 million. So what I'm saying is this is promising, but this is Manchester United. I know it's a £5 million deal. It's an easy deal to do, but look at Caicedo. If Fabrizio Romano gets speaking about this guy, if these reliable sources get speaking about this guy, then maybe it's more than just PR. I mean, not like PR, but a negotiation tactic. But that's what I just want to say, first of all. It was said that he's 5.5 million and Man United's intention is to sign him. And the reporter obviously does have connections close to the club. And it said that United are accelerating in a deal to sign this player. So we'll have to look where it goes. I think it's a smart deal for United to do. The reason I'm sceptical is because, one, United don't do smart deals. Two, this is a very smart deal to do. And three, the suggestion we wouldn't do anything permanent with INEOS only just coming in. Have INEOS really had a look at this? Do they sort of know what they want to do? But he is a great young player. He is the next Moises Caicedo. I know United have been looking at him for a while, but Manchester United's name gets used a lot in the media to sort of generate clicks, but also as a negotiation tactic. But I do want to talk about the player, and then I want to get into what David Ornstein's had to say, because this is something that I wrote back in September. So I said this back in September, and I want to read out this report to you because I think it's quite interesting. I said, and this was sort of off some information that I had been given back in September from a source who told me that we're in for Pavard about 3 days before Romano had said it, and a source that has been very accurate with information that he's given me over the years. You know me, I don't really give out my own info. I always report other people's info, but every now and then I say, look, I've heard this. And this was something I got, and it was said that Man United had been extensively scouting the midfield market with the long-term goal of signing 2 players to gradually sort of phase Casemiro and Eriksen out of the squad. The 2 standout prospects that they'd focused on was Oscar Zambrano and Palacios. Now, I know right now that United are now focusing more on a 6/8 hybrid with the addition of Kobbie Mainoo with Fofana, Amadou Onana, and sort of the plan to sort of cut out McTominay as well, sort of being looked at now. But obviously, going back into Zambrano, it was said, and this is what I wrote on Zambrano, that Zambrano has earned comparisons to the next to be the next Moises Caicedo, with some in Ecuador suggesting that he's superior to Caicedo at his age, and he primarily operates as a defensive midfielder in a 2-man setup, but possesses the qualities to excel as a 6/8. Kind of like Kobbie Mainoo, not really a lone 6, but could play there, probably more a 6 in a pivot, and has the qualities to be as an 8 in that sense. I said Zambrano's passing abilities are nothing short of extraordinary, and I strongly recommend watching some footage of him in action. He ranks 3rd globally for progressive passes per 90 among players under the age of 23. His comfort on the ball and ability to execute line-breaking passes with ease, which is a weakness in Casemiro's game, are impressive. Currently, he averages 2 key passes per game and 3 tackles. Barcelona reportedly looking at him as well, but he's very good at breaking the lines, progressing the ball forward, very good in build-up, which is why Kobbie Mainoo has been so key for United, because we were so poor in build-up, particularly in midfield. And then I skipped a bit, spoke about Palacios, and then I said, while I believe that replacing Casemiro would ideally involve someone in the 21 to 25 age bracket, the prospect of bringing in an understudy from South America alongside Palacios is appealing. Their strong work ethic, athleticism, technical prowess on the ball are qualities we lack in midfield. And I've said this now, you know, to bring in, I think we need a 6/8 hybrid that's ready now, like an Amadou Onana, but then to bring in maybe a 19-year-old understudy, I think would be smart. And that's what I'd like to see Manchester United do. So that's the latest on Zambrano. But now I want to sort of get into the takeover and just what David Ornstein's had to say, because when David Ornstein says stuff, you listen, because he's one of the few people that doesn't just spout crap. And David Ornstein said this: INEOS really likes Dan Ashworth, but there's been no approach so far. If he wants to leave and if Newcastle are open to a departure, they will have to negotiate. INEOS is willing to pay whatever it takes to get the right people in certain positions. So this is big for me. I'll probably talk about this in a live stream tomorrow. This is big for me. This is important for me. And that is because David Ornstein is saying INEOS are willing to pay to get this deal done. We know that Dan Ashworth will be a difficult deal to do, and Man United sometimes want to walk away from that. But they're saying INEOS, they will pay. They will get this done. And if there's the belief that Dan Ashworth's open to joining United, and the belief that INEOS are determined to get him, the belief that Newcastle are a little bit worried now. When we were first linked to Dan Ashworth, I thought no chance. But the more and more this swings round, I'm thinking, yeah, this could happen. And David Ornstein said the feeling in the industry is that INEOS probably want to appoint a sporting director and a head of recruitment to work beneath Brailsford, Blanc and Ratcliffe, which would be Paul Mitchell and Dan Ashworth, which would be ideal, which would be fantastic. And that's why I don't think we're really going to do any permanent deals in January, despite Zambrano being 5.5 million. Was purely because I just think, well, surely they're going to bring in the people before they spend any money, even if it's 5 million. I've sort of been aware that it's going to be loan deals and that INEOS will have to improve every signing. But I do think Zambrano is such a low risk deal that potentially, you know, it'd be something that maybe United could do and it would be good. Look, people, I hope you're bringing Zambrano as an understudy. It's 5 million. It's a low-risk deal. We can always send them out on loan. You can always do what Man City do, where they bring in young players, and if they aren't quite good enough, they still can sell them for a bit of a profit. Hopefully, United would be smart enough to do that under INEOS. But if Dan Ashworth, Paul Mitchell can come in, if we can get some good January business done that isn't crappy loan deals, that'd be great. And I'm a big fan of Zambrano. But I haven't watched any of him for about a month and a bit. So for about like 2 months, really. I haven't watched anything since I wrote a report for the Copper Club. So I don't know what it's been like recently. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.